Hey guys, we're gonna talk about 10-4 notes, okay? Title of the notes is Completing the Square. And what our objective is we're gonna complete the square to rewrite quadratics, okay? It's a skill we're gonna need coming up next in our conics section. So hopefully this is a review skill. If it's not, these notes will help you understand it. First, let's look at a couple of examples. Number one says expand each binomial. So what that means is we're going to multiply it basically. So x plus 3 squared is the same thing as x plus 3 times x plus 3. You can box it, FOIL it, multiply in your head. Regardless, if you expand it, it becomes x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay. The second one is x minus 5 squared. Same thing. It means x minus 5 times x minus 5. Multiply those two binomials, x squared minus 10x plus 25. Okay. Both of those are what are called perfect square trinomials. Okay. All right, the next two says factor each trinomial, okay? So number 3, x squared plus 16x plus 64. If we want to factor that, we're going to go backwards. We're going to undo what was multiplied. So it's pretty easy. Two numbers that multiply to give us 64 and add to give us 16. And that is 8 and 8. So x plus 8 times x plus 8 would be what it is factored. And since x plus 8 and x plus 8 are the same, we can write it as x plus 8 quantity squared. Write it as a perfect square. Okay. Number 4, x squared minus 12x plus 36. So when you're factoring this, a value of 1, you're thinking the same thing. Two numbers that multiply to give us 36, add to give us negative 12. And that's negative 6 and negative 6. So x minus 6, x minus 6. Rewrite it as a perfect square. X minus 6 quantity squared. Okay. So notice if we have a trinomial, x squared plus bx plus c, in terms of b, okay, what is the value of c? Okay. What's the value of c? All right. Well, look at all the previous ones, all right? The value of c, if I was to take half of the value of b and square it, it would give us c. Half of, look at number 4, half of negative 12 is negative 6 squared is 36. Half of 16 is 8, 8 squared is 64. Okay, previous 2, number 2, half of negative 10 is negative 5, square that, it's 25. The first one, half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. So basically our formula to get our c value is take half of b, so b divided by 2, and square it, okay? So what we want to do is not all trinomials are perfect squares, but what we are able to do is we're able to make them perfect squares. Hence the term complete the square. So look at the next one. It says, what term is needed to complete the square? So if I want this to be a perfect square trinomial, what do I need to add? Well, our b value is 8. So we're going to do half of 8 and square it. So half of 8 is 4. And then 4 squared is 16. Okay, so now we have a perfect square trinomial. We could rewrite it as a plus 4 squared. Okay, so that's the basic concept of completing a square. All right. Now let's look at one that actually has a c value other than 0. Example 5. So I'm going to give you some very specific steps to complete the square. All right. So first, move the constant to the other side. Okay, well, the constant is the term that doesn't have x to it. Okay, so in this case, the constant is 8. So we're going to move it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So then I'm left with x squared plus 6x equals -8. Okay. Next, add the new number to both sides. All right. So we're just looking at the left side. What number do I need to add to the left side to make that a perfect square? Okay, so my b value is 6, so we need to take half of 6, which is 3, and square it. Well, 3 squared is 9. Okay, so this is still x squared, that's 6x. So we're going to add 9. I'm going to always put a circle around it, so know that I'm adding it. Whatever we do to one side of an equation, we must do it to the other. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides of the equation. Okay. So then, finally, we need to factor the left side. Well, it's a perfect square, so write it as a perfect square, x plus 3 squared, and then simplify the right, -8, and 9 is a positive 1. We get x plus 3 quantity squared equals 1. Okay, I wrote it as a perfect square trinomial. All right, so there could be a situation where we have an a value other than 1. So we'll go to the next page. Look at number 6. We have an a value of 4. All right, so we need to deal with that first. So again, the first step is the same. Move the constant to the other side. I'm going to add 16 to both sides. So on the left side, I'm left with 4x squared plus 18x, not 18, 8. Equals positive 16. So the new step is we need to get rid of that 4. All right, so 4, to get rid of it, it's being multiplied, so we need to divide everything by 4. Step 2, divide everything by the coefficient of x squared. So I'm going to divide every term by 4. The multiplication property of equality allows us to do this. So then I'm left with x squared plus 2x equals 4. Okay, then third step is the same as the previous one. Add the new number to both sides. Well, what number do we need to add to make this a perfect square? Well, my b value is 2 now. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. This is still x squared plus 2x, and this is still 4. So then simplify by factoring. Okay, x squared plus 2x plus 1 is a perfect square, which is x plus 1, quantity squared. And then 4 plus 1 is 5. Okay, and then that's what it would look like if we were to complete the square. Now, since we did multiply or divide by 4 at the first step, to get rid of that 4, we need to put it back in at the end. So putting it back in is doing the opposite. We're going to multiply everything by 4. So I'm going to leave it out front. So we got 4 quantity x plus 1 squared. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so there's my perfect square. All right. Okay, there's only a couple examples. Again, this is a review skill. So hopefully a couple examples will be enough, and you'll have some on your homework to practice also. All right. So we just want to complete the square. All right, so number 7, x squared plus 8x plus 7. First step, move that 7 over. Subtract 7 from both sides. So I have x squared plus 8x. Now what I'm going to do is, I know I'm going to have to add something, so I'm going to leave a blank here. I have to add it to both sides. So then we need to determine what number needs to be added. Well, b value is 8, half of 8 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Okay, so then factor the left side of the equation. Becomes x plus 4 quantity squared, and then simplify the right. -6 plus 16 is 9. Okay, so perfect square looks like that. That's how we would complete the square. Okay. Finally, the last example, so notice that the steps are the same, even if our first step doesn't change. So still kick over that constant. Okay, so minus 15 from both sides. So I get 5x squared minus 20x equals negative 15. Then I do need to deal with that 5, so I'm going to divide everything by 5. X squared minus 4x. Now I know I'm going to have to add something, so I'm going to leave a space for what I need to add. Okay, so looking at my b value of negative 4, half of negative 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. Okay, so we're going to add 4 to both sides. Factor the left, so we have x minus 2 squared equals, and simplify the right, 1. Okay, so this, on this section, I'll accept that answer. If you want to put the 5 back in, I would also accept 5 quantity x minus 2 squared equals 5. Either one of those are acceptable answers. Okay. If you didn't quite get it, you can rewind the video and watch it again. You can pause it and get help from somebody at your table. If you're ready to go, start on your homework. Okay, check your answers, make sure you know how to do it, and we'll see you guys next time.